The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Let's listen as Lorraine Lapointe, coach, therapist, educator, speaker, and founder of Head Heart Synergy, brings together another enlightened guest to inspire and motivate us to move forward, achieve our dreams and desires, so that we experience midlife awakening.
And I'm your host, Lorraine Lapointe. Today we'll enjoy another candid conversation that reveals how to bring back a sense of balance and how to find forward focus. Today, take just a few moments to join us as we explore the possibilities and the perspectives that provide us with greater inner peace, power, passion, and purpose. Because that's what I call living at the edge of fulfillment in a midlife awakening. Well, hello and welcome. And today, our show is focused on mastering your inner game. And our guest is Debbie Pearson, and who you will meet shortly. And one of the things that's really interesting is Debbie has said in the past, and I'm going to read this so that I get it right. She says, imagine what it would be like to wake up in the morning feeling engaged and excited, as you're compelled to create a collaborative and innovative space in your life, as you participate with passion, allowing yourself to expand and evolve and live even bigger. And she says, just imagine if you could play with more energy. Wouldn't that be awesome? And if you ever believe that it's possible, then that's what life can be like when it's designed to work for you. And that is so inspiring when I read her words and heard what she had to say because that's a philosophy of life that I share. And for those who haven't met me, by the way, hello, I'm Lorraine Lapointe, and I am the host of the show, Edge of Fulfillment, and it's great to have you here today. It's actually my passion to help discover simple ways to build confidence and peace of mind, to dial down those negative inner voices, that self-talk that we all have, those little voices in our minds that tell us things. And so that we can master your inner game. And so when we master our inner game, we no longer need to imagine how life could be, because we would be living purposefully. We would be living with that passion, and we would be using our 5 inner superpowers to really compel us forward and excite our senses, challenge us to use our strengths, our gifts, and our talents that we all have. In the second half of life, which if you're like us or like me, time is really precious. Instead of the daily routine of drudgery, we all have had that, I'm sure. It's nice to be excited to get out of bed and to be doing something that is meaningful for you. Finding greater satisfaction and fulfillment, which is what the show is all about, as we make a difference, not just for ourselves, but for others in our world. And in midlife, we can see that sometimes we've collected a lot of stuff, and thinking it was the path to happiness, having the house and the car, maybe the career, the income, the toys, family and friends, and we've amassed a lot of things, and sometimes it's still just not enough. We have that feeling that we're missing something, that there's a missing element. And often it's the time that we feel that drive, a calling, a desire to stop living how other people tell you should. They should all over you. And it's a time of our lives when we decide that we matter and we are worthy of living a life we love, living more authentically. And that's what we're going to talk about today. That's what the show Edge of Fulfillment is really designed and intended to be all about. You know, through many life lessons, many of us have had lots of life lessons. We boost our courage to ask the big questions. You know, we're getting ready for transformation, and we want to ignite or reignite our passions and creatively design that life that we love. You know, there are some who feel that life hasn't worked out the way you hoped yet. You know, those people, there are some that just wonder what to do with all that heavy, uncomfortable stuff that feels like it gets in our way. You know, and it stops us. It fills us with guilt and worry and self-doubt. And, you know, that tends to be reinforced by social conditioning as well. You know, have you listened to the news lately? Well, if you have, stop. It's all bad. I can tell you it's all bad. And, you know, my own philosophy is I don't want to incorporate things in my world that I have no influence or control or that I can't make better. So I don't listen very often to the news. People tell you anyway what's going on. So, but sometimes in midlife, you know, we hear the call to be more, to do more, and it's becomes a deeply driving force that moves us towards more positively impacting our world. There's lots that's going on right now that is so positive when you look for it and when you become aware of it. However, it's hard to move forward when you're feeling uncertain, or you're stressed, or you're overwhelmed. You know, does that land for you? You know, most of us want to feel lighter. We want to feel more joyful, and we want to experience that sense of calm confidence that we are in control of our world. And our life, we want our life to feel more peaceful, more powerful, more passionate, more purposeful. And remember that word, purpose, in a moment. You know, because when we feel that way, something exciting begins to happen. And Debbie, I know, agrees with me on that. So when there's an alignment between your head and your heart, you know, you get to light up. You get to shine more brightly in the world. And that's why my company, Head Heart Synergy, has sponsored Edge of Fulfillment on this radio, W4WN, and Talk for TV, so that each week we invite a unique guest to come in and share tips and tricks and insights into how they have fulfilled their lives, or they're in the process of going beyond the edge of fulfillment. So a few little housekeeping items, a few logistics to get out of the way. You are in the right place at the right time, and whether you're here live or you're catching us sometime in the future, welcome. It's wonderful to have you here and to know that you're here, because we like to engage and connect with you, our audience. And each week we enjoy the magic of technology that broadcasts this show all over the place. And so wherever you're watching, listening, there may be an opportunity to dive into the chat. And if you dive into the chat as a comment, then number one, we know you're there. And number two, you can help us shape this show by asking questions and highlighting things that are inspiring for you, because what's inspiring for you is often inspiring for others too. So please, I encourage you to go ahead and use the chat. And if things make you go, then let us know what that is. And because the more we get to know you, the more we know what inspires you, the more we can shape our show so that it meets the needs and it meets the desires that you have personally. So we do have a contest, again this week. And we have 5 special words. So for those that are joining us for the first time, I'll just run through it quickly, because for those that listen in all the time, already know this. So there will be 5 special words that you will be hearing throughout the show. And you don't know what those are. But I will tell you, or our guests will mention them. And then what you do is jot them down. Don't put them in the chat right away. Put them in the chat at the end when I ask you to, because that becomes your ballot. Good morning, John. That becomes your ballot for the contest. And last week's winner, I'm so happy to announce, was Erica Prentovich. Congratulations, Erica. She won an amazing values lab from our guest last week. And our guest this week is offering a prize of one of her books as well. So now I can tell you that the very first word you've already heard, and the very first word was purpose. So jot that down somewhere. The very first word was purpose. And so you have one of the 5 right now. And we'll also unlock some other goodies and some other rewards and prizes when we hit 100 comments. So one of the ways that we can hit that magic number is by asking questions. Just put a hashtag and a Q or word question. And our wonderful producer, Roxy, will put those up on screen for us. And when you make a comment or you have a question, then we'll move towards that goal of 100. And one of the ways you can start right now is you can just reach out to family and friends and share the links for this show so that they can join us too. And another way that you can reach out and create some comments and interest in our show is by thanking our producer, Roxy. She's behind the scenes making all the magic happen. It's all the things that we don't know that she does that makes the show run smoothly. So go ahead and give her a thank you for that job that she does that no one knows about. All right. And that'll make her day. So that's why it's good to have you here on the Edge of Fulfillment. And we're here every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern on W4WN. That's the Women for Women Network, as well as Talk for TV. And we're building some fun and some interactivity and developing an engaging community. And it's not just online. It's also on our Facebook group, which is called Mindfully Moving Forward. So if you are part of this broadcast here live or in the future, go ahead and join our Facebook group, Mindfully Moving Forward. And we'd love to get to know you in there as well. So don't miss it. All right. So I want to thank you for being here. And, we're creating a new awareness. We're creating a grander idea of what is possible in life. And our guest this week will inspire us to become more aware of ourselves, our interconnections with each other. And actually, that's our second word. So jot that one down. The second word is the word aware. And so now you've had 2. You've had purpose and you've had aware. And after this short break, we'll connect with Debbie Pearson, who is today's guest. And she'll talk to us and help us understand that balance isn't something that you find. It's something that you can create within yourself, and it makes a difference for everyone. And so you've made a difference already by deciding to join us here today. You are listening to The Edge of Fulfillment, W4WN.com, Talk for TV radio, and Talk for TV. I was going to say radio. The other one is the radio. And we'll be right back after this short break.
Did you know video is the future on content? There are 3 good reasons why video is the future of content. Number 1, videos are often more engaging than simple pictures or music alone. Number 2, it's much easier to tell your story through video. Number 3, because we love to watch video, they go viral much faster. Hey, notice you're still watching right now. See how well it works. Next time we can play your video here instead. Ask me how. Shine online on Talk 4 TV and W4WN Radio.
Hey, great. Welcome back. Let me do a quick recap if you're just joining us now. We are running a contest again this week, and it will be for a prize from our guest speaker this week, Debbie Pearson. And as in other weeks, we have 5 special words. The first 2 words we've already heard. They are purpose and aware. So jot those 2 down because you'll need them at the end of the show when I ask you to put the words in the comments, or you'll be able to email them to me as well. So you'll be listening for the 3 other words. Our guest today is actually, she's the owner and founder of Inner Mastery Learning Center. That's her business name, where she really helps people go from that sense of being overwhelmed, stressed, and involved in struggles in their life to living more intentionally, more consistently, more consciously, leading to a more fulfilled life. But I'm eager for you to meet her. So instead of going on and continuing with the introductions, I want you to listen to a short clip because it highlights one of her most interesting life experiences. So have a listen. I'm not hearing it yet. Let's see. Oh, maybe it's me. Let me try this. No, that didn't work either. I don't know why we can't hear it. Perhaps. Anyway, we will move on. It was the Proclaimers. I will walk 500 miles. And now I'd like to introduce Debbie to you to come in. Come on in, Debbie, and meet our crowd.
Hello, everyone.
Awesome to have you here, Debbie. And I'm sorry we couldn't play that clip. I don't know what happened to it.
Perfectly fine.
But what I'd really love to know is, what does that Proclaimers 500 miles have to do with your life story?
Well, I've had my own business. I was an art studio for a while, and I loved teaching, but there was something that wasn't fulfilling me. And I ended up going to work as a civilian for the military, and I made it up the ranks, and I was actually working for a 4-star general as direct support, and I still wasn't fulfilled. And I Will Walk 500 Miles, that song, although you brought that up, I wasn't thinking that song at the time, but I discovered there was something called El Camino de Santiago in Spain. And it's a path that you walk that's 500 miles long. And yes, it's an undertaking. You, of course, train some before you go, and then every day you walk for, depending on where you're going, between 5 and 8 hours a day. Spend the night, get up and do it again. And it was the most absolutely fascinating, amazing, lesson learning, life-changing, life-altering experience of my life. So I get back to work, military civilian, and I am so changed. Like, so much has happened for me in this 36 days is what it took me. And I get back there and nobody else has changed because they didn't experience anything that I experienced. But what I know about that was I had spent my life seeking and searching and looking for something, right? Because I just wasn't fulfilled in my life. And what happened was I discovered that I needed to do more of this thing, which we'll get to as we go through this. So I, of course, ended up, it took me about 8 or 9 months, but I ended up quitting my job. I sold everything I owned except for what would fit in my car, and I drove away, and I never looked back. I mean, it was the most important thing I've done in my life. Now, I don't, expect everybody to do that. But for a person that really was feeling what I was feeling, it was so important for me to fulfill this missing something. So I ended up taking a little time to travel around to figure out what was I was going to do. And I finally realized what my purpose is. And what I would love for the audience to understand is how important there comes a point in our lives, because when we're younger and say we're either building our career or we're taking care of kids or whatever, we've got goals in those times. But then there comes a point where we've kind of moved past those things. And just like what you were saying, Lorraine, earlier, we think the things out there are to fulfill us, but they don't. So what do we do? What I came to understand so clearly is we've got to master our own inner game. If we do not master our own inner game, then we're kind of a puppet for other people to kind of pull us this way or that way. What I discovered was how, even though I was pretty accomplished by all intents and purposes, looking at my life, I made it. I had everything on the outside, but my life was fragmented on the inside. When it's fragmented on the inside, all I could do was search for that thing what was the glue that was going to pull it all together? And that's when I discovered I have to work to put together my inner game, master my inner game. And that, for me, became the magic of having a whole and complete life.
Awesome. Yeah, I the words I use to describe that is mental fitness.
Absolutely.
Is having the tools when you need them, and having understanding the inner powers that we all have, so that we can create the life as we want it to be. And that's absolutely amazing that, I love hearing stories about how people get sparked into making those choices and decisions and changes that lead to greater fulfillment in their life. That's, yeah. So I love that. Like, I'm all tingly.
And it's not always an easy path, right? It's like when we're searching and looking for some people, at least for myself, I felt like I was struggling all the time. Like, what is it? What is it? What is it? And then when I finally discovered it, it was oh, thank God. Like, I finally found it. And then when I knew I was on the right path, walking the path to gain the mastery of this inner game it's still a journey. It's still this amazing, eye-opening journey, and I learn every single day, and I love it. But now I'm not searching for the starting point. And the key, I think, for so many people is we probably know, well, I probably should do this, or I need to do more of that, whatever. But how? Sometimes, how do I get there? How do I step forward? Which one of these programs do I take? Which guru do I follow? Where do I spend my time to get the most out of the time that I'm spending with that person or that program or that book or whatever it is we're doing? Because our lives are, even with COVID, kind of busy. I just dated. Our lives are busy, and there's just a lot going on. So we need to, find something that works for us and move forward with that.
And you've used the word that is our third word for today several times, and that is the word inner. That inner space. So many times, I think, for me, I know I spent much of my first half of my life looking outward, looking at, as you said at the beginning, what goal was I going to meet next? And there was always another goal, get the house, get the car, get the job, get the next job, move up the ladder, have the kids, raise the kids, doing all that stuff. And then you get to a point where I call it midlife, and midlife is different ages and stages for different people.
Mm-hmm.
Where suddenly you start to question.
Yep.
And it's having the courage to ask those big questions,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then go inwards for the answer. Yeah. Like what triggered you to take that 500-mile walk? And actually something else that you mentioned and why it connects with that Proclaimers song is 500 miles and then 500 miles more.
Yes.
But I'd love to know, do you recall what your thoughts were, or what led up to that in your life?
I don't know when my seeking began, but even at early 20s, I remember thinking, is this it? Is this it? Do you go to work and go home? Like, there's got to be more. What is the it? What is it? So, of course, in my many decades until that point when I decided to take that walk, I was doing the seeking. What is it that I'm looking for? I'm looking for something. People said, Debbie, you're driven. I'm like, I'm just seeking the thing that I know is out there for me to just feel whole and complete. And as I was working for the 4-star general, I again had the thought, as prestigious and wonderful and honoring as that job was, there's got to be more. What's going to fulfill me? So I decided to go online and look up vacations with purpose. Like, I don't know, am I going to build a Habitat for Humanity homes? Am I going to go dig a water well in a third world? I didn't know what I was going to do. But I can tell you, when I landed on the website page or whatever for El Camino de Santiago, is affectionately called The Camino. When I discovered The Camino, I was fixated. Like, I don't know what my body knew that I consciously didn't know, but I knew I had to do it. I knew I had to do it. And literally my life had been going on like this. And after I did the Camino, it was like, I got to go this other way. It was that clear to me. Go ahead.
I'm so excited to hear you say that your body knew before your mind did. Mm-hmm. Because quite often I spent the first, long time thinking that my body was something that moved my head around. Mm. Not realizing that this body that we've been given, that we live in while we're here on planet Earth, is an absolutely amazingly fine-tuned instrument that we can tap into and use. And the wisdom that resides within our body is absolutely phenomenal. And it's, again, part of that, what I call mental fitness program is learning how to listen to what your body has to say.
Absolutely. I have had the thoughts, what do I not want to regret when at the end days of my life? And I've said, I don't want to be on my deathbed and not have done something out of fear or out of not knowing how, or those are the two best ones, right? But to just not do that thing and to be laying there, because there are so many people that are on their deathbed saying, I wish I would have. I wish I would have given myself permission to be happier. I wish I would have given myself permission to not work so hard. I wish I would have given myself permission to love more and not have to be so right and make other people do it my way, but just to allow. And when we think about these things, and for some people it's traveling more or having more friends or finding their life purpose, but because they're like, well, I don't really know how to find my life purpose. So, and they just kind of let it go.
Well, you get busy, right? I think we get distracted.
We get I love that. So I want to say we get distracted because we don't have a direction. When I tell you, think of a GPS, right? Well, how a GPS works. It knows where we are, right? We're right here, and it has our coordinates for this location. But where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? Do you want to go that way or that way or that way or that way? It can't move you till you give it the end coordinates. Now, once we put those in, it can say, go up here, take a right. But it doesn't tell you what to do next until you've turned that corner. Then you get the next step. Okay, there you go. Then it's like, go 2 miles and take a left. So you go 2 miles, and as you're turning left, it says, now get in the right, whatever the next direction is. Life is like that. We need an end point, which could be, I want to live the best life for myself by by doing these things, by having, I mean, if you want the big house and the material things, that's fine. Have that be your end goal so your GPS knows where to take you. But if you want to have a life that you've lived, that the relationships you have are beautiful, that you have a whole, complete, authentic life, that you're living so genuinely that nobody can pull you away and change your mind about something because you're not sure where you're going. You know where you're going. You're going to take yourself there, and they can come with you if they want to come with you, but you're not being pulled. So you're not people pleasing. You're not feeling anxious so much. You don't have the stress and overwhelm because you've put into your GPS where you want to go, and you're heading in that direction so that all those distractions that we just talked about, they're not tugging you and pulling you. But there are a lot of distractions, don't get me wrong, but we do have choice.
Yeah.
Choice is the big, that's not one of our words for today, but I wish I had thought of that.
We can make it one of our words. Go ahead and make it one of our words.
Choice, and choice is one of our words. The beautiful thing about knowing your end destination is as you're heading in that direction, and as you do all the things that what you think, what you say, what you do, how you act, the decisions that you make, the judgments, that everything heads you in that direction, you will realize as you're going along, because you won't notice it. And at some point you'll go, oh my God, I love myself. When did that happen? It literally comes into your life, and you aren't so aware. You know that you're doing the right things for yourself, and that pulls love into your life for yourself. And of course, when your cup is full, you can give to others, right? But as you say again,
no, go ahead. What you said so resonated so clearly with me, and I'd love to hear what our listeners and our viewers think as well. You said that when you love yourself, you have it to give to others.
absolutely.
That is so important as a part of finding fulfillment, because it isn't out there.
Mm-mm.
And the other thing I wanted to highlight was you talked about goals, and goals can either work well for us or not so well. Even and we do need them, because as you said, the GPS won't guide us to where we want to go if we don't have a destination. But if you set a goal, for instance, I want to go to college so that I can get a good job, so that I can get a big house. Yes. So that those are the kinds of goals that lead you down the rabbit hole and end up at the end with a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't feel so great. But if the goals I think that you're talking about are the goals, as you mentioned, like, I want my life to be filled with love. So then that's something that can happen right now, today.
Absolutely.
You don't need to sow that.
We have, exactly. My thoughts are, and people can agree or disagree, it's perfectly fine. I believe we have 3 awarenesses. Awareness number one is ourselves. Awareness number two is the awareness of others. And number three is the awareness of like the greater, like the community, the world at large, okay? From birth, so many of us are thrown into awareness number two, others. We have to pay attention to others. We've got to watch what others are doing. We've got to get our fulfillment from others. We've got to get our validation from others and our worthiness and all the beauty that we literally can supply for ourselves. Not that we want to be the only ones to have that and give that, but when we go to awareness number one and go, that's the inner game, and we go in, and you can make it a game, like literally, like how much can I learn about myself and how cool is it? And when I learn the most, I win the most because I've learned the most about myself, because now I know how to relate to other people based on the love I give to myself and how I can relate to myself. Because otherwise we're just trying to guess what these other people want because we don't know, right? And then of course, then we can go to awareness number three or whatever, but go ahead.
Exactly. We could keep on going forever. I'm gonna say at this point that some of our viewers might be ready to take a little break. So you are listening to The Edge of Fulfillment on W4WN.com radio and Talk for TV. So we will be right back with more of Debbie Pearson's brilliance right after this.
Did you know video is the future on content? There are 3 good reasons why video is the future of content. Number 1, videos are often more engaging than simple pictures or music alone. Number 2, it's much easier to tell your story through video. Number 3, because we love to watch video, they go viral much faster. Hey, notice you're still watching right now. See how well it works. Next time we can play your video here instead. Ask me how. Shine online on Talk 4 TV and W4WN Radio.
And welcome back. It's good to be here with Debbie Pearson on The Edge of Fulfillment, W4WN.com radio and Talk for TV. And we've had actually 4 of our special words today. And I'm just going to do a recap for anybody who's joining us at this point, because sometimes it gets lost in the haze. So our special words that you've heard so far are purpose, aware, inner, choice. So thanks for that 4th word, Debbie. And usually on the show, I pull a card, and we haven't done that yet. Are you interested in me pulling an oracle card or an energy card to see what wisdom is there for us today?
Absolutely.
Okay, I have my deck here, and I'm just going to shuffle up, and you just go ahead and tell me when to stop.
Okay. Stop.
Okay. And the card is Roots of Abundance. Now I'm going to try and show our viewers, but it's got lots of green in it. So you probably, all you can see is the couch behind, but Roots of Abundance. So let me read for you what wisdom is there for us. So it says the card signals you to pay attention to how you're anchored within your own story of your life. And that's exactly what we've been talking about. Trust that you will be taken care of, because the message is so simple. Your life is safe and secure. Your intentions are coming to fruition. You have hopes and dreams, and when they're firmly grounded and taking root, then you'll be able to reach for the stars. A tall, healthy tree doesn't need to hold on to the ground for dear life. It knows it won't fly away with the wind because its roots are deep within the earth and it can reach for the stars. Isn't that beautiful?
I love that. The first words you said was about pay attention. And I want to say pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. And would it be okay if we did a little exercise or activity? It's about 30 seconds to...
Oh, yeah. No, go right ahead. Awesome.
So I think sometimes when we understand how our brain works, that it's easier for us to like say, oh, okay, that makes sense, right? And it's not somewhere out there and I don't understand why it happens. Like law of attraction, right?
Yeah.
It's a thing, but I don't know that I can explain how it happens, but I can talk about this part of our brain. So we have something called the reticular activating system, and that's what I'm mostly going to talk about. But it works in conjunction with the mirror neuron network, okay? Mm-hmm. But the reticular activating system is a little part of our brain, right? The lower part of our brain. It's about the size of your pinky finger, and it is this tightly woven bundle of nerves. So it collects all the stimuli that your body goes through, what you see and not smell, but see and touch and hear and all the stimuli. But it only lets in about 100 bits per second of data into your conscious mind. But we could be bombarded with thousands, if not millions of bits of data per second, right? So a big disparity, right? 1 million to 100 bits. So what does it know how to let in? It lets in what we focus on, because it's programmed to go, well, if you're focusing on it, it's important, therefore I have to let that in. Now, there's some things it lets in automatically, like your name and certain dangerous situations or whatever, but otherwise, every second of every day, it's only letting in these little bits into our conscious mind. So the little game that I want to play, and I'll make this disclaimer, please do not play this game if you are driving or using machinery. And I mean it, don't do it, right?
Don't do it.
And in a safe place, we're going to take about 5 seconds, and wherever you're seated, just look around and see what you see that's red. And let's just count for 5 seconds, count how many things you see that are red. Okay, it's 5 seconds. So
yeah. Do you want me to play? Do you want me to play? And I'll say 2.
Okay, that's fine. And that's fine. So you saw 2 red things. Now, without looking, and everybody just kind of like, don't look, just stay in one spot. How many blue things did you see? Now, that sounds a little tricky, right? And I have a reason for it, and I'm going to explain that in just a minute. And so you can find that answer. Let's go ahead and take 5 seconds and look around and see how many blue things you see. Okay, time's up. How many blue things?
7.
Great, okay. Now, without looking, how many yellow things did you see?
Oh.
Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. But here's the thing. We're going to pretend for a moment that red things are negative things, blue things are positive things, and yellow things are opportunities. When we looked for red things, what were we looking for? We found. If we're looking for red things, say negative things, we're going to find them. Because that's what the reticular activating system in conjunction with the mirror neuron network is going to do, is allow that into your conscious mind. See, I can never park in the front of the parking lot. Oh my God, I knew she was going to say that again. You know, whatever the negative energy, the negative things are that we are literally looking for, it happens over and over because that's allowed in. But I want the audience and everybody to see the blue things and the yellow things are right there too. But we don't see them because we're focused on something else. So pay attention to what are you focusing on, so that if you are I'm talking real time right this second. If you're focusing on negative things, share that with yourself. Oh my gosh, I'm doing that. How can I maybe look for more blue things or more yellow things or more positive things, more opportunities? How can I allow those into my life? By looking for them, making them important enough that this little part of your brain, the reticular activating system, says, oh, that must be important. That's what she's focusing on. Or he, and they will let them.
Awesome. And you know, that is an ideal exercise to show us how important focus is. And that's our fifth word for today. Is going to focus, because as you've said, Debbie, what we pay attention to is what we actually bring to our awareness. And there are so many possibilities and opportunities out there that we're completely oblivious to because we haven't set an awareness for them.
Right.
So thank you for that. That was awesome.
Good.
I'd love to hear from our listeners or our viewers what their understanding and take and experience was with that. So go ahead and add that to the chat wherever you may find a chat. So so I'm going to ask one last question because we're coming up on the end of the show, and that is there anything that you would like to present to our audience that you haven't had a chance to talk about yet?
Well, I have, I've written a book, and it's called I Just Want to Be Happy, because that's really what we all want. We want to be happy, and we don't always know how to start that process or how to get there. So this is 6 steps to living your best life. And, it is on my website. You can go to debbiepearson.com, or you can go to Amazon. But if you want to just learn a little bit more about like your life purpose and how do I start that process? How do I begin to understand what my strengths, gifts, and talents are? You can go to my website and download that for free. And probably I just would love for people to understand that just like that reticular activating system in the focusing thing, if you are genuinely interested and you're wanting to find these answers, focus on finding those answers, and that will be presented to you. And so when they show up, you will be able to see them. Because I can promise you, they've shown up in your experience over and over and over again, and we just can't see what we're not either expecting, desiring, or wanting in that moment, right? So, yes.
Yeah, and I would just like to leave our viewers and our listeners with one thought, and that is the what. Don't focus on the how. Leave the how to the universe to figure out, because you might have an idea of how, but there might be something so much better out there. So one of the things I do when I set a goal or focus my attention is say this or something better.
Absolutely.
And not hold on to the how.
Right.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for coming on today, Debbie. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here. And I'm excited about your book. And I know that whoever wins our contest will also be excited. So go ahead now, folks, and put those 5 words that we had throughout our show into the chat so that we can pick a winner at random. And Debbie will provide you with that prize. That's awesome. Thank you. And I really want to thank all of our listeners for being here today at the Edge of Fulfillment today, which is Friday, and every Friday at 10 a.m. on W4WN or Talk for TV. Or there also can be on my business page, which is Facebook business page, which is Head Heart Synergy. And we broadcast there every Friday as well. And today we've explored some really deep questions. We've explored and played with some ideas about how to make life more meaningful. And I appreciate how Debbie has shared how she has found fulfillment in her life, and knowing that time is precious and our lives become a legacy about what we focus on. Focus. Pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. Focus, focus, focus. And remember to drop those 5 secret words or special words in the chat, or you can email them to me at support@headheartsynergy.com, which just with the subject line of contest, so that I know that that's what it's for. And I invite you to join other like-minded people like Debbie and myself, interested in really playful and enthusiastically creating a life that you love, as we support each other in the Facebook group Mindfully Moving Forward. And at this point, I'm just going to end our show today saying this is your host, Lorraine Lapointe, reminding you that this is it. This is the time. It's midlife awakening. And this is your opportunity to mindfully move forward at the edge of fulfillment. See you next week.